Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio. And Denise is back, and so is Ron. So, how are you two doing?
We're fine. Surgery was apparently successful. They didn't kill me. I'm doing great. I already went to the beach, planning on going again. No, we only went once. We went Friday.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think she's doing a lot better.
We took up a new sport. So, yep, I took up a new sport. I'm learning how to throw a frisbee professionally.
A disc golf.
Professionally?
Well,
I really suck. So we may put out some videos to show people how not to play disc golf.
Hey, that's a fun sport. It really is.
Yeah, it's good exercise. She was out walking, didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
But the thing is I realized it. I'm sitting there going, we're just playing fetch. We throw it, we have to go get it. You throw it, you have to go get it. It's like, what good is this?
Right.
But we
play 9 holes of frisbee golf.
Yep. We played 9.
Yeah, we bought a starter kit on Saturday.
Good.
Messed around the backyard and said, let's go find the closest one a couple miles away. We found one. There are tons of them all over the place here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They're everywhere.
Every college campus has at least one. The one closest to us has 2.
Yep.
Practice and get good at it. There's tournaments involved in that, too.
Yeah. Well,
no.
Not
that good. Won't ever be that good.
We went to the first course. It had a amateur's tee box. It was like 248. We're looking, it's straight ahead.
It's like, this is easy.
And I went, man, that thing looks a lot further than that. Okay. And then we look way to the back. And there's the professional tee box, like about 100 feet behind us. And this is a par 3. And I went, I'm looking at that tee box and I'm looking at the pin. I went, there's no way in hell you can get that in 3. Yeah, I mean, from back there, and we're standing right here at the amateur, and I went, I don't think we're going to, well, she throws it. It might go a fourth of the way. Maybe I go 50, 60 feet. And I went, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And I throw it, I don't know, back 20 feet further, and I went, oh, man. Yeah, we're going to be here a while, but hey, we didn't throw them out in the woods. I mean, we were in the woods, but we were, staying on the path.
Nothing went in the rough.
Yeah, they weren't going all over the place or anything. We just weren't going very far.
We found no alligators or snakes and no poison ivy. We did find some places where there's blackberries growing, so we're going to go back. And then we came home and found out we have blackberries in our own backyard.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I have 5. I picked 5 today.
But
good.
But we went and played another course the next day, and we were a lot better. I mean, we improved that much just in one day.
Hey, at least you're out getting exercise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's out walking.
I mean, you're working your arms, you're walking, bending over, everything, stretching.
Well, see, that was the thing. For a few days, I wasn't allowed to bend over. So when they did the heart surgery, they went in through the top of my leg. So there was no bending over. There was no lifting anything. There was no walking on me. So none of that. But
see, she didn't know the rule. And I kept telling her, I said, the rule for women is they have to wear short shorts. Really short.
Daisy Duke.
She's not believing me. I don't know why.
So
hey, Gary, Nigel.
One of those things.
But I would like to thank everybody that sent me
Susan
prayers.
And Michael said they're going to come down.
Hi, Nigel.
I appreciate them, every single one of them. And I'll tell you, there's no better place to be than in someone's prayers. It's one of the most special places you can be. So I'd like to thank everybody for that.
Hey, I was texting away, and I'm really slow at it, trying to keep up with everybody to let everyone know.
All right.
Or surgery was going.
Well, what was
I
funny,
kept an eye on the Facebook and everything. So
Well,
was
what
good.
was funny is that they were outside looking at the sun during the eclipse. My surgery was late because they didn't know. My doctor had no clue about it, but they all had to go out and look at it before they did my surgery.
It wasn't much here.
It wasn't much here either.
Yeah.
It didn't
But the
even
next
get
one-
dark. Nothing.
Oh, wow.
Well, I have to tell you, in 2045, everybody's invited down.
Yeah, right.
We'll be in the 100% totality, right where we're at.
Yeah. And I'll also be either in a walker or wheelchair or, you know, somebody may be dollying my coffin down there. I don't know. That's a long ways off, folks.
I know.
21 years.
Well, you might bet maybe 2044. Maybe you can go up to South Dakota.
Drone check on me.
Oh, yeah,
my mom
drone check on him at the cemetery.
My mom says she might have to pass on the next one.
So,
Well, Gary, I've got 2 drones. I'll have to come down and go out there and we'll see if we'll catch the drone up there.
so I got us a guest tonight. His name is David
Yep.
John. He is with the Supernatural, Extraterrestrial, and Paranormal Investigations Agency out in the UK. They are also known as the Paranormal Police. So this is going to be fun. We're going to learn some new things, I think. I think we're going to have a very intellectual talk.
Right. So everybody welcome David John. Hello, David.
Hey, David.
Hi, all.
Welcome.
How are you? Thank
We're
you.
great.
Thanks for
As you just
inviting
heard.
me. It's a very nice intro. Thank you very much.
So let's start with, how in the heck did you get started in the paranormal?
Well, I think like everybody, you get chosen, don't you? Something happens to you that never really leaves your mind. So, believe it or not, my first odd experience was when I was actually a newborn. So that's odd in itself to have that, still have that memory. But I was actually, I have a memory of me being a child being put on top of a like an ottoman furniture, the square, put on there. So I could have fallen off either way by my grandmother. And my mum was out the house at the time, as it explained to me, and she just left me there. And I had what they call an out of body experience where I could see myself from above. And I was telling myself in a coherent way, don't worry, you'll be fine, just don't move. In adult words, not goo goo gaga, as I should have probably been talking at 6 months old, whatever I was, but in those words, and that imprint never left me. And we all think, oh, it's just a dream. But I actually managed to describe the whole room to my mum 20 years later. That my nan had a padded bar in the corner of the room. It had brass ornaments on it. I knew where the door was. I knew where the other door was. And she actually went, yeah, actually, that is actually how my mum's room was like. So weirdly, at a very young age, that happened and never left my memory. And then the big one for me was when I was around about 7, 8 years old. I've got a younger brother who I'm 7 years older than him, so it's before he was born. So it's just before that. But yeah, that was a weird experience, which I can tell you better if you want to hear it. But
Yeah, sure.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this I haven't actually told a lot of people about this story. It's only been in the recent sort of 6 months I started, letting people know. And it's because I'm 53 years old now, and it was a long time ago. But the imprint it left on me was just it was forever. My fascination in UFOs and aliens and science fiction and everything else all stemmed from this experience at 7 years old or 6 years old, whatever I was. So my dad put me to bed one evening as usual, and he shut the door. Like any kid at that age, I didn't really like the dark, but he always left the hallway light on, so I'd see under the door a thin strip of light from the hallway, and I'd see 2 shadows of his feet standing there because he would wait, I think, to hear that I was settled before he'd leave and go downstairs. Now the house was a very small house. So it's like we had a kitchen downstairs, a hallway, and the living room, and that's it. You go up the stairs. There's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, so it's a very small house. So this one evening, my dad appeared to be standing there for a very long time, and I kept looking, thinking, why is he still there? I don't understand. So I got all brave. I got out of bed and to open the door, fully expecting my father to be standing there and say, "Oh, what are you doing? Go back to bed." But when I opened the door, he wasn't there. But those shadows were there. So I did think, oh, that's a bit strange. But I stepped out into the hallway and I quickly realised that it must have been very late at night because it was still, the telly wasn't on downstairs. My mum and dad must have been in bed. Then the next thing that happened was, can only describe as a static electricity in the air. I didn't hear crackling or anything. I just felt it, like the hairs on my arms and on my neck all just stood to attention, and I felt tingly all around me. And I was just drawn to the stairway and just looking down the stairs. So imagine the stairs are going down, um, and I'm just looking down at the stairs. And my thought was, oddly, just to step out in a parallel horizontal way, not actually follow the stairs down, but just step out into thin air, which, that means you're going to fall down the stairs. So, but that I had a compelling feeling that I must step out and not down onto the next step. And the electricity was increasing, and I did it. I stepped out and I didn't fall. And I stepped again and I never fell. And I was basically going now horizontally. So there's the stairs going down. I'm now going across in thin air, literally in thin air. And I'm going now towards the ceiling, which is obviously sloping down. And I'm coming closer and closer to this sloping ceiling, thinking, I'm going to go through the ceiling. I'm going to hit my face on the ceiling. There's nowhere for me to go. I'm not descending down these stairs. And I remember being so close that my nose touched, and then I smelt a weird smell. And to this day, I'm convinced I went through it. Um, and I didn't really, yeah, and that's all I remember. So I'll never embellish this story because I don't remember anything other than that, not a single thing, other than waking up the next morning. And I don't even think I remembered it then either. I think it was years later when it suddenly came. And it was strangely the way it came is that I was working on the building site one day when I was in my early 20s, just trying a bit of extra cash. I was helping some bricklayers, and then we were smashing this wall down. And then I realised that when we broke this wall down, it was an old building, um, that the plaster gave way, and there was these wooden slats behind it.
Right.
I'm not a builder, I don't understand what they are, but the thin wooden slats that the plaster's then put on top of.
Right.
As soon as I saw them, I had a flashback. I remember that moment as a child, I saw those wooden slats past the plaster. And then the brick dust smell. The smell is what triggered it. I had that smell from the brick dust, and that's when I go, that's the smell. That's the other smell. There's two smells, but I remember smelling inside the wall, um, which is a bit weird to be like so many years later. So that smell and that sight of me breaking down that wall put me right back to when I was that age again as a kid. Um, and then only recently, literally 2 years ago, I've discovered what the other smell was. So this is, many years later. So the other smell um, was triggered again by something else. My wife asked me, "Oh, what do you want for your birthday this year?" And I don't want much really. I just said, "Oh, give me one of those orb things, those plasma balls.
Yeah.
You've seen them? You put your fingers on. I've
Yeah.
always
Yeah,
wanted
we
one.
have
Never
one.
had one.
We
You
got
got
one
one,
too.
yeah? So I've always wanted one, never bothered buying one. So she went, "Oh, you sure? Yeah, yeah, yeah. As a present for my daughter or something." So she got me this thing, and I was like playing with it one evening, like mesmerised as you do. And then I smelt something that again triggered me back to that childhood memory, and I realised at that very moment that the smell was ionised air. The plasma ball was giving off ionised air, and
Mhm.
when I was a kid, walking along in thin air, the air was ionized. I realise now what that smell was, and I was kind of felt vindicated in a way that it was real. No one else has to believe anything I say, of course. But that was the trigger. That was a huge experience for a child to go through. And the weirdest thing is, my house wasn't on its own. It was a block of flats. I had a house on, a flat on top of us as well. So I don't know where I went. I've got no clue. No clue.
Mike, were you abducted, or was this a spirit?
Um,
Was it spirit
I-
activity? What was it?
Well, now I'm older and wiser, and obviously I know a lot about abductions and spiritual abductions, and I'm now more worldly to these things. I still actually don't know. I don't know if I was abducted, was it by an alien race or was it by a governmental race, government program? I don't know, Denise. I've got no clue. I'd love to say, oh, lovely aliens took me to a lovely place and I was really happy, but I can't.
Right.
I can't even say I was probed either because I don't know. All I know is that since that experience, there's been other things in my life where I've had, I think people call them downloads, don't they? Sudden rush of information that you don't
Yeah.
know. It's like, why? How have I thought of that? Where's that come from? And you question yourself, and you question your sanity, and you question your role in life. I've had a couple of those. Happened a couple of times. And it's just left my brain quite frazzled, but with loads more information, which then I sit on for many years, don't do anything with. So
He sits on it too, just like I do.
Yep.
yeah,
The question I would have next would be, has anything like that ever happened to you again?
I've been abducted.
No, well, you've been abducted?
Well,
Were you
if that's what happened,
free
yeah. If I've levitated before, no. But there was something very strange when I was about 11 years old. So I used to be a bit of a rebel kid, not a naughty kid, but I wouldn't do my homework. Okay, we hated homework. I don't know what it's like for you guys in America, but English kids don't want to be doing homework. And I now as an adult, I've got grown-up kids and I've got a younger child as well. I don't want to have homework. They go to school, learn, come back, rest. That's my ethos on the whole thing. And at 11 years old, I'm forced to do maths homework. Hated it. So we got these little textbooks with grids. Don't know if you guys had them as well, but they were grid lines. They weren't straight
Yeah.
lines, all grids. So I'm sitting there in my bedroom, laying on the floor with the book open, with a pen sitting in the spine of the book, and with the pencil, I think it was. And I used to, for fun, make the pencil move across my page and move it back again without touching it. And I thought that was totally normal. I had no, it didn't scare me. I thought it was normal. I thought every kid was able to do this. So I made it go backwards and forwards, because I was in this weird headspace of emptiness and boredom. Quite frankly, I was bored to death. I didn't want to do maths. I've never been very mathematical. So went to school. I've done it numerous times. Went to school one day. One kid was there with a pendulum thing, said showing all the kids in the school, "Oh look, I can make this move without touching it." And I thought that, I gathered round to see his little show, and I thought it was rubbish, to be honest. And I said, "Well, I can do better than that. I can move my pencil without touching it." And they all went, "Go on in." So I got my pad out it's in the playgrounds, okay? Imagine 11-year-old kids. Got my book out, put the pencil in it, and nothing happened. Nothing happens. And it's never happened since. I was laughed at. I was humiliated. I did it to myself because I really thought it was normal and everyone could do it. But one demands can do it. And when they all laughed at me, definitely couldn't do it. So that was a learning curve.
You think that
Say
that was
less.
innocence, maybe?
Yeah.
As children, children believe all this stuff, and they're so innocent. Is it
Yeah.
once you said it out loud, the innocence was gone?
Yeah, I think it is because as a child growing up, I was quite insular. I was quite into myself, and I was quite happy with my own company. I did have friends, but I was quite happy to sit indoors in my bedroom and just make things out of electronics and just make stuff. I just used to love if I can make a little engine go round for my Skylectric set that I ripped to pieces and put wires to it. If I can make it work, I was happy. If I can make a little light go, a little fan go, and I just made stuff all the time. So I was quite happy in my own little world until I went to senior school at 11 years old, 12 years old, where everything's different. The kids are nastier. There's bullies. It's the first time experienced proper bullies, in the school. And yeah, so things change, and it's such a shame that their innocence can just go. Um, I've got a 4-year-old daughter now, and I will do for everything in my power to ensure that she has a happy, good childhood, raised, with love in the family, and that she remains a child for as long as she possibly can do. I think it's very
Right.
important.
That is the trick.
It
I
is.
think I
Yeah.
really wish that our youngest, could have stayed a child a lot longer. So, and not
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
so exposed to
Mm,
everything in the world. The world is a scary place. It's probably the
it is.
scariest
Yeah.
place you'll ever go.
Right.
But
It's got a whole lot worse since 2020, quite frankly. It's been on the boil for a long time. If you look back through American and English history, it started hundreds of years ago, really. But it's really, been let leash on us since 2020, I'd say, a lot more. And I don't know if you guys have noticed the difference, but there's been also an upheaval in the paranormal world too. There's been let's dare I say, a disturbance in the force, to
Seems,
quote Star Wars.
A
yeah.
lot of
But
drama.
there's been a lot of ripples, and I've seen more paranormal and UFO activities being reported. I think it's also partly because of everybody's got a 4K camera sitting in their pocket these days. So that's been helpful, and we have YouTube and Rumble and all the other services that people can go look. I've seen this, and
as
they've
helpful
got
as it
somewhere to
is,
go.
it's also a hindrance.
Yeah, well, I will come to that during this talk about why the SEPI Agency even started. But yeah, you're correct.
Well, because back in the day, now if I was in high school and it'd be out on YouTube. Back in the day, if nobody saw it, it didn't happen.
Right.
So,
Right?
but
And so much anymore is AI and Photoshop.
oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Carl, you sent me a picture and I showed it to Ron, and the first thing he said was Photoshop. And in a couple weeks, we're going to have a show where we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. So you guys are all going
Okay.
to have to tune in. So
Yeah, I sent that to you because of McPike. That's why I sent it to you.
Right.
well, you figure all the years we've been volunteering there, and then somebody goes and does that. I was like,
Yeah.
And
just
my
shook my
next
head.
YouTube video, the next YouTube video SEPI is going to do is how easy it is to fake a UFO and a ghost image. And we're doing it.
Oh,
I started it today. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, but
we
it'd
faked it.
be
So we were able to fake with my phone at the beach. I was out there, and the U.S. or the ISS was flying over. The International Space Station was flying over, but it was really bright and it was really dark at the beach. And I go, look at that! It looks like a UFO. And I'm taping it, and all I did was move my phone a little bit, and it made it look like it was whizzing across the sky.
gone. Yeah.
Right.
It's
And
easy.
we sent it to a couple people as a joke.
Yeah, we had people come to me
Yeah.
and go, "Oh my God, it's a UFO!" And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it was fun.
it's got a place. It's got a place to show fake videos because it then educates people that they need to be a bit more astute about what they're looking at and a bit more switched on. Because even in paranormal groups that I'm aware of, you can put a photo on and the conversations start about, oh, that's amazing, or what is it, and and people will already believe that that's true, and that's not what I do myself. I never take anything at face value. I do a lot of digging, as I'll explain probably a bit later on, but yeah, we do a lot of digging, and if I find a falsehood, then we'll expose it in a nice way. I'm not about this. The SEPI agency is not about exposing people to humiliate anybody. We're not out to badmouth anybody. Um, and I can tell you about a couple of cases where we've had to close the case in a nice manner, and we do that in a meticulous style. So we end it, but we know we're trying to also say we're ending it for a good reason because it's not worth investigating any
Right.
further.
So, since we're on this subject, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask this question. How often have you shown up at somebody who's called you for help, and you're there to help them, and their whole idea is, where are the cameras and when are we going to be on TV?
Right. Okay. So the SEPI Agency are based on policing principles. I am a serving police officer in the UK, and so I've got a code of ethics I follow in that professional manner, and I've just cookie cut that into the SEPI Agency too. We go by the same code of ethics as police do. That's my rule. That's my stipulation for any SEPI officer that joins the organisation. They have to abide by those rules. So we also then follow a process. And this is the reason I started SEPI Agency is because I've been a bit disheartened as by some of the techniques used by well-meaning but amateurish groups, and I want to put a bit of a professional edge to the approach. So when a SEPI officer comes to your home or your place of work, or even if it's communication remotely, we do what we call a witness account first. So in policing terms, that would be called a statement. So we will do a witness account. We'll sit down with you and go through that and allow you to tell the story. We go into a little bit of background about you, the place to, the location, the persons involved, and then what the actual story is. So we do that. That gets recorded properly, and it gets recorded visually and audio as well as been done on a document. That then comes back to us, the group, to assess. So we make an assessment based on that, and then we assess from that information. What do we then, what is the next step? Are we going to interview this person properly? Or are we going to go straight into a field investigation? So the next phase generally would be, with the subject's permission, that we'd interview them. So again, every SEPI officer is trained in how to do interviews. I train them. I've got a package I take them through, and it's structured. We make an events timeline, just like police do when they're doing an investigation into a crime. So we work out an events timeline. We do our interview plan, all before we even go and see the subject to do an interview. So that would be the second phase. We turn up to do an interview. Again, that's recorded for safeguarding purposes too. So for their safeguarding and our safeguarding. So what we then do from that is take a second assessment, and we match that to the first account. Has anything changed? Has the story now developed to something different? Are there things now coming out that wasn't mentioned before? And then from that assessment, that last assessment, we'll then decide the approach on the investigation style. So it may then well be, yeah, okay, this warrants a field investigation. So we are going to go in with our cameras. We are going to go in with our measuring tools. I just want to state one thing though: none of the equipment that we use catch ghosts or detect ghosts. Okay, or we'll find a UFO flying above your house. None of that stuff. We just use standard things to measure the height of your room, temperature. We do have an EMF meter, but only to find normal EMF. We have a device that detects ultrasound, and subsound as well, the sounds that we can't hear. We've got a device that just records that and detects it. And so we just do what we call baselining. We're trying to understand now what's the environment this person's in that's seeing this activity or experiences problems. Um, we do a lot of when we're sitting with the subject, we do a lot of in-depth probing into their backgrounds. So we do, and this is all these are contracts. We ask these subjects to actually sign and agree to a contract because it does say, "Are you happy for us to ask about medical information?" We don't have to give it to us, but are you happy about these? Are you happy for us to access any devices? Are you happy for us to access every room in your property? And if they don't agree, we just won't do it. Simple as that. Because in my view, if you've got nothing to hide and you want help, then there should be no blockers to that. And we are there to help. We're not there to debunk or to make anybody feel terrible. We're there to actually really help them and give them a proper answer to what's happening. It may be supernatural, it may be paranormal, it may be extraterrestrial, it may be nothing, it may be medical. And I have had a case already where the lady in question, definitely needs, I think she's got early onset of dementia happening. Bless her soul, but she really has, and we're going to help her through that. So we don't walk away. We'll go for okay. What we feel is this. We feel like you might need some other help as well. And it may also be that we need assistance from a medium. So we don't rule any of that stuff out. So one of the questions I get asked quite a lot is, "Oh, you sound very forensic. That means do you not believe in mediumship or spiritualism?" And that's not true at all. I mean, I've been brought up, I've got a wife who obviously is spiritual. She's very spiritual. So I do believe in spiritualism. I do believe in mediumship. I have got a different theory as to how it works than to most people. Um, so maybe we'll go into that later. But I do believe in it. I do believe that these people can connect to a time, an essence, a spirit. I believe they can be of help. So again, in our assessment, we'll go, well, do we need to go and see, get a medium on the case as well? So in the SEPI agency, we've got SEPI officers and we're looking for researchers as well. So they're people that have got a skill set to bring. And that could be that they're really good at geography or history or even mediumship. That they've got a certain skill set that we can use. So, and I'm really lucky. I'm just going to give out a shout out here to a local group. So the Essex UFO and Paranormal Group based in Essex where I live. They've been really supportive of the SEPI agency. They've been going for 30 or plus years. They've got their own Facebook group as well, the same name. And they've been really great because I can go there and there's a wealth of experience and skills that I can immediately tap into. And if I go to that group and say, "Can I have your help?" They always help me. They're fantastic guys and girls. So I'm really lucky that I found this group and they're open, even though they were a little bit, "Oh, are you coming here to prove that everything's fake?" Or it's no, we're not. We're not at all. But we just got a different approach. We're coming from a very forensic. We're coming from a very forensic background, but we're looking to implement standards. That's what we're trying to do. Actual standards that people can follow. And
Right.
and the reason I'm looking to do that is not to convince people that already believe in the paranormal and have experiences. It's not for their benefit actually. It's for the benefit of those that don't. It's for those scientists, it's like academia worlds, the law enforcement even, those that won't take it on board. That eventually, when I find a piece of evidence that is watertight, literally that I'd be happy to stand in court over, um, I can then prove that we did the statement, we did an interview, we've got best evidence, we've got it all documented from the day dot. Yeah, when someone comes to us, they get a reference number from day one. They get an incident reference number, just as the police would give you a crime reference number. You get a SEPI agency reference number because it's a case. and we'll let you know as the case goes and what we're going to do, and if we close it, why we're going to close it. We're very honest and transparent about the whole thing. So we're trying to build these processes in place that we can cookie cut and give out to maybe to other paranormal groups across the world that maybe want to just climb on board with that. And then I'm in the process at the moment of getting a database put online where people can log on to it, record their experiences, and I'm going to have officers all over the globe put in the evidence and the interviews and the statements. And then what we're then doing is building a massive database and a process to go to the people that just won't listen to us. This is real, and we're no longer
So,
gonna accept you saying it's not.
so
Does
a
that
friend
make
of
sense?
ours, yeah, a
Mhm.
friend of ours has started something very similar in Illinois. They're the Paranormal Research
Institute.
PRI, Paranormal Research Investigations, and they do cartography. And one of their guys is a professor at the University of Missouri, Kansas City,
Yeah.
and he created this random event generator, and it's been written up in a magazine that's printed out of the UK.
Yeah.
And so they've been working on something very similar, and I need to get you in touch with them so that
Absolutely,
you
yeah.
can talk to Dan and figure out how to
They
put the two things
Yeah,
together.
they
Implement
pretty
both
much
of them
try and
together.
standardize their investigations.
Yeah, they use a
Yeah, I
process
mean,
called cartography.
that's what we need,
Yeah,
and that's
sounds
been
real
my
similar.
frustration. I should have started SEPI Agency 20 years ago, but when I started looking at doing it, at the time I didn't have the law enforcement background then anyway, so I think it's helped since. But 20 years ago, I did go to a local group, which wasn't the one I mentioned earlier, and I just found them to be, I don't know how to say it nicely. I'm trying to say it nicely.
Yeah.
That there's too many egos in a room, all jostling
Oh
over,
yeah.
well, my experience is better
Yeah.
than your experience, and I actually saw it. I actually, and I just sat in the room thinking, no, this is not for me. These are not the people I want to surround myself in, because it's ridiculous.
There's so
I'm
much
very quick
drama
at
in the
spotting.
paranormal anyway.
Oh yeah, the drama. I mean, it still happens, but that wasn't for me. That was never going to be something I was going to get involved in, because of the experience I've just told you, um, to all your listeners. As a child, I didn't want to be looked at like I was trying to make myself look good. Something happened to me, and I wanted an answer, and I wasn't going to get it from a group that were just jostling for a place on the shelf, as the egos go in this industry, unfortunately. And it is an industry, it's a multi-million pound industry, um, that we're all starting to find ourselves in, be it through the film, books, videos, whatever it may be, but it really is. And you've got to be really mindful of that, and I am, and that's why I waited another 20 years until I went, okay, I need to do something. And the thing what made me do it, because if you probably read from the my website, it only started in August last year. And the reason I
Right.
started it is because in April last year, I was pretty much attacked by something. I can't put it any other way. Um, Me, my wife, and my child went away for her birthday in the end of April to a place in Suffolk. So Suffolk is a lovely urban area adjacent to Essex. It's about an hour and a half's drive away for us. But it's a completely different world. You drive out of Essex, which is all hustle and bustle and bit overbuilt. It's horrible in places. But you go out to Suffolk, it's fields, it's meadows, it's streams. It's a beautiful place. So we decided to stay in a cottage, and for a long weekend. Thought that'd be lovely. So we go to this old cottage, and it's all very nice. And I've got family out there actually. They came over one Saturday evening for a few drinks and takeaway, and they went. early. So when it gets dark in Suffolk, it goes dark. It's
Yeah.
pitch black. I live in a place that's light polluted, so I'm not used to seeing pitch black, and seeing the stars, which is amazing. So so they go, oh, we want to go early because my wife doesn't like driving in the dark, so they left early. So I had a few more drinks. My wife went to bed, obviously. Daughter's in bedroom. Now my room, we had different rooms because I snore. I'm a terrible snorer. Terrible. I don't know where it's come from. I'm awful. So my wife's like, I'm going to go in the other bedroom. Okay, fine. So I'm in the main room, and there's only one door into this room. So there's a double bed, and then there's another door into another bedroom. But the only way into that second bedroom is through the main bedroom. There's no exits out of there. It's a very small room, and that's where my daughter was sleeping. So I'm in the main bedroom with my daughter in the next room. The door's shut, my door's shut. In her room, we've got a little red light because she's only 4 years old. We don't want it pitch black, so we've got this little ladybug thing that lights up red at night. So we took that with us. And white noise. She still likes a white noise. So I shut the door because I can't stand the white noise. It drives me insane. So I can hear it, but it's not uncomfortable. So the door's shut. I'm going to sleep, and I'm sitting up, and I wasn't quite asleep because I'd had takeaway on top of rum and coke, and I started getting reflux. So I'm not asleep. I'm sitting going, oh my god, what did I do this for? What did I do this? I don't know why I do it to myself. So I'm having a bit of trouble with that. I think, and then I start to try and lay down, and then I heard my wife come in the room. I'm a bit annoyed now because one thing I'd missed out on this account was the fact that my daughter it took an hour and a half to get to sleep that night. She was a bit of a nightmare. So the last thing I wanted is my daughter to be awoken. So I'm just closing my eyes, and my wife comes into the bedroom, and then she starts opening the door to where my child is. I'm not very happy with this because I can see the door opening. I'm like, oh, for God's sake! I think I said something quick stronger than that actually. So I sat up, and my room is now filling with red light because the door's opening, and it's still a bit dark. I can't quite see my wife because I heard her walk in, and I've got this watch on, this little you tap it and it lights up, smartwatch thing. So I tapped it to light up the room, and that is when I realised my wife actually wasn't in the room, and my door was still shut. But that other door was opening, and it's now just stopped opening. My room is now full of red light. I'm now got all the hairs standing, all my hairs, I say, all the hairs on my neck standing up, and I'm thinking, oh, actually, what's happening there? I suddenly realised that it wasn't my wife, but I heard the footsteps in the room. It's a cottage, remember, so the floor is floorboarded, they're creaky, and when you walk on them, people's walking on them. And I'm now mulling it over, like, what's just happened? That door was open. I saw that door open. I've not seen an object open or move physically on its own accord since I was a child. Never seen it, but I saw it that night. And then I'm suddenly a bit more. I'm standing up now. I'm out of the bed, getting quite angry, and I'm telling whatever it is to go away. You're not welcome. And with that, I hear a scream from my daughter's bedroom. So I burst into the room, fully expecting her to be up and scared or whatever. And I really didn't know what I was going to be greeted by. I really didn't. Um, I did have a bit of fear in me. I don't mind admitting that. Even though I've had loads of scary situations on the job, but she was sound asleep. She hadn't stirred. She, I don't know where that noise came from, but she was sound asleep, happily asleep. So I'm now even more alert. I'm now even more riled up and angry. And I've said to this thing, this entity, you're not welcome here. Go away. I know what you are. I'm not having it. Go away. I think I swore a bit as well. I don't want to do it on here. So it took me about another hour or so to settle because I'm now sitting up in bed like this. What's coming?
Yeah.
It took me a while, because I'm now on guard. I've reached my daughter's going to wake up at 6, as she does every morning. This is not good, you know. Um, and then this is when this other thing happens. I tried to sit up in bed, and I was literally pushed down by something. And the only way I can explain the sensation wasn't that I felt hands on me. I didn't feel that. It was like if you're laying down in the swimming pool, you're under the water, and you're laying down, and you're told to sit up quickly, but you can't because of the water resistance. That was happening. I was struggling to get up and out of bed. I was, with all my strength, I was like pushing, pushing, pushing until I broke free of it. And that's when I got really angry, and I really told it where to go. And I knew that I said, "You're weak. I'm not having it in here. You do not go near my wife. You do not go near my child. You do not come anywhere near me. You've got no power here. I'm no longer feeding you my fear. Go away. I'm not having it anymore." I was proper annoyed, and it still took me another hour to sleep. So I had 2 hours sleep that day. But my wife, I didn't tell her till oh, about 2 o'clock the next day. She kept saying, "What's wrong with you?" And I didn't know how to tell her, even though she's open. I just didn't know how to tell her that what had happened that morning. Because I thought, if I tell her, we're going to have to go back home.
Yeah.
And a part of me was thinking, we're packing, we're going. Because after I got that pushing sensation, I wasn't very happy. I didn't feel safe at that point to stay there. But I wanted to be the bigger man, as it were. I wanted to show this thing that I wasn't being pushed away. So it took me, most of the day to really fess up to tell her, actually this happened. And she was actually very cool about it. Said, "Oh, okay. When we go back, because we was driving at the time, visiting other places. When we go back, I'll go in the house. You take our daughter to the park, and I'm gonna have a chat with it." So she went and done that, which I thought was very brave of her. So she come up saying she felt it was an energy from the lady that used to live there that died in that
Yeah.
bedroom, but it wasn't actually her that had done the attack. It was the husband's. Um, and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was. But that made me go, do you know what? I need to do something now, because it's been a long time since something's happened like that. Um, and I need to do something, because people need answers now. We don't want, we don't want, excuse the pun, we don't want to any longer chase ghosts. We want proper science to say, actually, there is another world that surrounds us, vibrating on a different frequency. We all know we all vibrate, don't we? Everybody knows that we vibrate our frequency. And just like on a radio station, if you tune it to another frequency, you hear something different, don't you? It's no different to how we exist. So there's no reason at all why we don't exist in a multiple frequency space, because we occupy a space and time. There's no reason in the world why there's no other frequencies operating in that same space and time as us. And there's no reason in the world to suggest that they are not more advanced than us, and they've not been around longer than us, and have not learned how to tap into our frequency, which would take me on to things what I call EDEs, extra dimensional entities, um, aliens, time travelers, all sorts of things open up that Pandora's box, really. But I think it's about time that we have a voice, and we put a foot down now to our so-called caring governments who are protecting us from the truth. Bless them. I do say that sarcastically. By the way, I am
Well,
British, for those
believe
guys.
me,
Sarcasm is part of our culture.
it's okay. It's
Same
my
here.
first language. I spoke sarcasm before English.
Yeah, good. That's what we feed on. So we're sick. We're sick to death of it now. And the thing is, what I find in the UK and across the world, we all work siloed. We're too siloed. And that's how you keep information away from people, is that you fragment it. And they've been doing that to us for a very, very long time. It started hundreds of years ago, even when they were looking at phenomena with, levitation and talking to spirits. We went through like early 1900s, like really taking this on board and really going with it. If you look at the history of it, and like D.D. Holmes, he was brilliant. He levitated in a room and out of a window in front of witnesses, this guy. And then it all got shut down in the early 1920s, probably even earlier than that. It got shut down. It's like, no, we can't have this. So the church done its thing, and the government done its thing. The Stooges done their thing, and we've just been going downward spiral staircase to stupidity, really, into blankness, moving away from what we really should know and what we really are. And that really angers me to my core, that we're no longer going to do that. you know um 2020 to me was the invitation to come. We should come. That was, we think you're that stupid. We're not actually, are we? We're not that stupid. And it's time for us now to stand up and go, no, you're not shutting us down, because we've been documenting it how you would normally like it to be documented. We've got the testimonies, we've got the interviews, we've got it in a jar, we've got best evidence, whatever it may be. But there's too many people doing this subject that are keeping stuff to themselves and not sharing. And in the SEPI agency, I'm not saying we are going to be the one agency and the whole world is going to take over, we're going to be exposing the truth. That's not possible. But we're going to be one of the agencies exposing the truth. We are. We're going to help put standards in place. So for those well-meaning groups that go running along with a medium straight away to see somebody, I wish you all the best will in the world. But and if you don't document that and don't do anything with it, you're not helping anybody. You might make that one person feel great, and that's good for you, but you're not helping the subject develop.
Yeah, if you're
And I
doing
know
it
that can,
just for fun, do it
yeah,
just for fun. Don't say it's a case. Don't,
exactly.
you
Do not.
know,
I mean, I got
there's
asked recently to, would the SEPI actually like to be involved in running a ghost hunt? No, we do not want to be involved in that stuff. We will never run events for entertainment purposes. We're never doing that. We are an investigations agency based on investigative techniques. We look at what the facts are. We also look at what the grey areas are. We also will listen to what the spiritual areas are. But we're not ruling any of that stuff out. But we will not do stuff for entertainment purposes, and run a ghost walk. Just a 30 pound each person comes along for the evening just to stand with dowsing rods and be scared to death in the dark. That's not what we're about. Not to put down dowsing rods, by the way. I know they have their place. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what we're doing. And I don't get involved in groups that do that. Oh, we're not.
well,
Good.
Gary did ask a question, and he wants to know how many people are in your group.
So we're quite small at the moment. So I've got 5 officers at the moment. I've got 2 more looking to join. I've got a person who wants to join as a SEPI researcher, and possible another person wants to join as another officer. The idea is, I mean, I want to branch out immediately, but the other guys and girls in the group have said to me, have grounded me. They've been very good, actually, saying, "Can we get our foundation solid first, Dave? Because I want to
They're
run with this
right.
already."
They're
Yeah, and I'm
right,
like,
because
"Yeah,
you got to get
okay."
it in writing.
I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I get it." I've only just written the training package for interviewing people, so I'm already trying to run before I'm walking. So it's really good. So those officers already turn around to me because they've joined so early on. I value what their opinions are and their input, and they're going to help shape the SEPI agency going forward. They're very pivotal to it, in fact. They've got different backgrounds as well. So I did listen to them and go, yeah, you're right. We've got to get our foundations solid first. So maybe we start building us up to about 10, 15 members, officers, before going out nationally within the UK, and then branching out across the ponds, as it were, and to the east. I'd love to go massive immediately if I could, and I really want to. I mean, if guys in the US actually do come to me and say we're doing a similar thing, I'd love to talk about an affiliation with them. So already in my mind, there's different pathways. There's either a group in America wants to join to be a branch of the SEPI agency. That'd be fantastic. Or they want to keep their own identity because they've built up their own identity, of course, and don't want to lose that. They just affiliate to us, which means they'll get access to our systems that we're writing and putting in place, and we share that same data. And I share with them the training and the processes and the standards we're looking for, or they don't at all, and that's fine too. They can go on their own merry journey, and that's I wish them all the luck in the world. But like I say, it comes back to, but what good are you doing for the bigger subjects? If you don't share the data, you don't share the information, and you're not on a bigger platform, I don't see what difference we're making. And we are still being fragmented. We're still being controlled, to keep it all a fringe subject, which I can't stand that term. But people would say that. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I'd done a psychology course. I went in like a adult education program, and I said I want to do psychology for 2 years. And I'd done my thesis on the paranormal. Surprise to my family. Other people in the group were doing it on baby development and all this normal stuff. I did mine parapsychology.
That's okay. I did mine on up the butt syndrome because I had kids that every time I stopped, I was pulling one out. And so needless to say, and that's what I called it too. So mine wasn't on the paranormal, but it was on something that the other people probably weren't thinking about. So yeah,
that's good.
Probably a good subject. You see it with your wife and daughter, don't you? If your wife stops too fast.
Yeah. She's a bit of a daddy's girl too, though, bless her. But I've got where I was going with that now. But done with some parapsychology, and that let me go to. I went and I done a big question. I done a questionnaire that I want to go to different groups for. So I went to the local police station and said, look, I wasn't in the police at the time, by the way. Would you, a couple of your officers mind filling out this form? They went, oh yeah, okay, we'll do it. I went to a Christian church. I said, look, would you mind filling out this form? I got an absolute no, we're not. Okay. I went to a Catholic church. Absolute no, we're not. Okay. I went to a doctor's surgery. Would you mind letting this? Mind me, a few of your doctors do this? Yeah, we'll do that. I went to a local UFO group back then in my early 20s. I was met with skepticism and egos. That's what I told you about earlier. That's where I found that group. So the forms came back. I got them back from 2 doctors, 2 police officers, about 3 people in the UFO group filled in for me, the ones that were happy to talk to me. None of the people from the religious side wanted to know me at all, which is a bit of a shame. But what I found from the data, and it asked questions like, do you read the daily news? Do you watch TV? What if you were political? What would you be more sided with? It's just standard questions, but it would be a couple of little things in there like, have you ever seen anything that you couldn't explain? And I was really surprised by the outcome. The doctors, the professionals, I'd say, and the police and the doctors were the ones that opened up more. That did tell me about experiences. And the ones in the UFO group were just telling me stuff I expected, quite frankly. I was a bit disappointed in their data, to be fair. So that I was a bit despondent over that. But I was actually quite fascinated by the fact that the professional sides were more open than they do let on. So that always put that seed there that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly in the language that they understand. Coming from their background now, I can now say you want the evidence like this, don't you? Well, there you go. It's there. It's in there. It's there. You know, they can't argue with the evidence. That's why I'm so passionate about putting standards in place. As boring as that may sound to some people, go, well, I want to go in with my laser pen and point at things in the sky. I want to go and record something in a dark room. That's fantastic. But again, we're going back to what good are we doing collectively if we're just going to do that for fun? And it should be fun. Don't get me wrong. It can be fun. It can be bloody frightening as well. But if you're scared of it all the time, then you're in the wrong space already. You know, so you can't,
Yep.
you shouldn't be doing it. But
Yeah, you can't gather data if you're shivering in the corner.
no, and I, you know, things do have scared me and put me on edge, but I've got a different perspective now on a lot of things. So now I wouldn't fear going to a ghostly place that's meant to be haunted, for example. I don't subscribe to it anymore. I've got a different theory on it. So I'm not bothered by that anymore. We also wouldn't go into a haunted place with the lights off, because I've actually realised that, you know what, if there's a spirit there, they actually don't care if the lights are on or off. They don't care. In fact, you're going to capture something better on a camera if you've got good lighting than you are in the dark. I've got an infrared camera, but it's awful in a confined space. The light is very strong. It bounces off the walls. It creates shadows. It's not accurate, you know. But I have spent £5,500 on equipment, believe it or not, since August of last year. Don't. I hope my wife's not watching this. She sure does not know that.
Well, then she better not watch this later.
No, she better not.
I'm in trouble now. But I have spent a lot of money on the equipment. You know, and it doesn't make any difference if you're, because no device in the world is going to capture a ghost. I'm sorry, but it's just not. And if you subscribe to the spirit boxes and all that sort of good stuff, then happy days. I'm happy, but I won't be using those technologies. And the main reason for that is because the developers of those devices are not happy to share the source code with me. I have asked, and I'm also, for my part, a programmer. It's a software programmer. I used to do websites and web applications. So I have said to a company, would you share your source code with me, which runs the firmware on your hardware? No, we're not. Well, I just want to know if you're programming patterns in or something. No, we're not doing that. Well, therefore, you can't prove to me then your spirit box does anything. So thank you. That's my response. Do you see where I'm coming from with that?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I do that.
we-
I tear it apart and I figure it out.
good.
And I make sure that it's not triangulating, that it's not, it doesn't have to have the internet except to update the code. You know,
Yeah.
we never use any device that actually has service on it. It has service at home where we have internet and Wi-Fi, but if we take it out in the field, it doesn't have that. We turn off the mics, you know, all that stuff. And the big thing is are there any words built into the part where it spews stuff out? But you also said something else when you were talking about your daughter. You hate white noise. So you're not going to be listening to a ghost box that does this.
No, but the white noise that she has is digital, so it's not actually white noise. It's not scanning anything. It's just on a loop.
But it's still noise, and it's still annoying. So that's how I feel about it, because that white noise crap is
that white noise
crap. It could have stuff built into it.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it.
I do understand, you know, I've said it previously about the frequencies, we're all vibrating. So it's not beyond the realms of impossibility that a device could tap into a frequency and convert that into a sound. It's not beyond the realms of impossibility. And I do know from one of my SEPI officers actually runs his own podcast show, and he had a guest on whose name escapes me now, but they are doing a program where they are working on that technology. And it's almost like a spirit box, but it isn't. It's completely not that. And I think the guys developing it would distance himself away from it being a spirit box completely. But they are working on a technology that is trying to convert frequencies that we that are not us into some sound. Now, if it's to get words, I don't know. If it's just to get some solid structure to it, because with sound waves, you could build a picture out of that too. Just like bats use sonar to know their environment. So this guy, he's working on something, and they've been working for a while now. I just wish I can remember the name of that. And the SEPI officer's going to like tell me off tomorrow for forgetting probably. But so I'm not shutting that down completely. I just think if you're going to go and buy this little spirit box for $50, and it's got some flashing lights on it, and it looks really cool, you're probably not going to get what you want to get out of it. And the software behind there's nothing to tell you. You don't know that software is listening to your voice, regurgitating that in a digitized way,
Yep.
Right.
and replaying it again. You don't know. You go, oh, it said my name. Yeah, because you said my name about 20 minutes ago. That to
It was just
me,
holding on to it until later.
yeah.
That's what the
As an
Ovilus does.
investigator,
Mhm.
that to me is not good enough evidence. It's not strong enough. So if a spirit box said my name within a minute of me being in the room and it didn't know my name and nobody said my name, I might think twice, but I've never come across that. But people in a room together going, "Oh, Dave, are you? Denise, are you doing this? You know, Cole, you're doing that." The names have been bounded around the room for minutes before maybe something comes out of the box. So and there may be people that love their spirit boxes and go, "Well, you're completely wrong," and they're welcome to say that. And I am still open to be proven wrong. I'm totally open to that. I would love anybody to be able to prove me wrong with something like that. You know, show me, and I'll if I can prove that the software's not recording you. If I take it apart and find a microphone in there, you're in trouble.
Well, like I said, we know that like the Ovilus has one built into it, and the people who have built it, they deny it. But a friend of
Right.
ours took one apart and found it. And it's like, okay, so what's going on here? But there's not only that, something else that you said about sound. What
Yeah.
are they doing with it? If it's just going to be a sound, if the sound has no meaning, it still means nothing. But
Yeah.
one of the things about spirit boxes that get me is it's a one syllable word.
Yeah. And it's never anything coherent, is it? It's never anything useful.
Yeah.
You know,
So
like,
far, I haven't gotten anything a full sentence. It's been a word here or there. And if I get multiple syllables, I'm more than likely going to believe multiple syllables over a single syllable any day.
and they have to be unique. They can't be the standard "get out."
Oh yeah,
You're
I
not
love
welcome
Get
here.
Out. I think that one's the funniest.
How many times I've watched paranormal shows and they're going, "I just said get out." Oh my God, here's another one. There's another one. It's
Or
pretty.
That's
it
the
cuts
thing.
you out in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Those times.
yeah. Makes a good show, but that's all it is.
I'm sorry, but we're now down to maybe one paranormal show left on the air in America, and it's just very frustrating that yes, we were on Ghost Adventures long time ago now, and it's sad that that's the only one left.
And he doesn't even leave
That
his
is
house
sad.
anymore.
Yeah,
No.
he sits at
Well,
home.
you got shows on Netflix as well. They've got a few things going on. So
Well, yeah, 28 Days Haunted. We saw that, and we just don't watch a lot of Netflix because we don't know what's on there. But but
well,
we
see,
know everybody.
What I see here in England is probably different from what you see in America, unless you're using a VPN, guys. You can do that. But yeah, I mean, they've got. I'm watching a show at the moment. It's about 8 series about paranormal, and they do cover UFOs and ghosts and things. And it is quite good. It's a Netflix series, so they put money into it, and it looks nice and shiny. It makes me quite envious when I'm doing video editing because I'm only new to that too. I've only started learning that since October of last year, so I'm now looking at all sorts of oh, I love the lighting on that. I'm getting a bit of a geek now on video editing. It's a bit sad, really.
You think if you get into that, you think the amount of money you spent already? that's nothing compared to what you'd be
Yeah.
spending.
It's
But
not.
Yeah, true.
what was the name
Yeah.
of that show that you're talking about on Netflix that seems
Uh,
to have a lot of different?
Can I look it up? Can I
Oh,
look it up for you? Give me 2 secs because I can't. It's paranormal something. Let me just tell you. So I put it onto my list.
well, in the
Where
meantime,
is
I'm
it?
going
Where
to
is it?
read
The
this from
SEPI.
Bob Burnell. He said, "To this day, I'm a video and audio EVP person. But with that being said, recently I have had a couple experiences with the SB7 Spirit Box and the app Necrophonics.
We've
And
used the app Necrophonics. We
Yeah,
like
we
it.
have.
Yeah.
And the Echo
Oh,
Box 3.
And the Echo Box.
hey, John."
Hey,
Right.
John.
And
Hey, John.
John says some souls communicate at a higher frequency, and if you are hearing static, that is someone talking to you, is what he says.
Well, I have ongoing tinnitus in my left ear. I've had that for as long as I can remember. I don't know when it started. I thought it was when I was in the military. Actually, I thought it was I was quite near an explosion many years ago, and I thought it was from that. And it was only about 6 years ago that I decided to go to have it looked at a hospital. That they examined my ear and said you've got no external damage to your eardrum, and I was a bit surprised because I thought the tinnitus was from the damage from an eardrum because it was only in my left ear. And they said no, and it's also unusual to have tinnitus in one ear as well. Is what they added to the. But they also said you can't do anything about it. Goodbye. So I've had to live with it. But yeah, I think John, you're probably right there. They do operate on that. I did find that name of that thing for you, the program. My phone just shut itself down while I was talking there. And it's called Files of the Unexplained. Is a series, and it's pretty good. They've done it quite well. And there's also one called Devil on Trial, which is worth watching as well. Recommend that highly.
Which
Which
one?
I'll come to that about EVs. Devil on Trial is very good. It's about a murder case, but
Oh, that
it's
one.
about.
I know Arnie. I used to be friends with his wife before she
You're
passed.
joking,
Yeah,
really?
I know Arnie and
Yeah.
Deb Johnson.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Well, I was going to quote that tonight, so you know those people. That's brilliant.
Yeah, they.
Yeah. So I thought where we were now. But John Long is correct. They do communicate at higher frequencies, but our brains are capable of decoding that, just like any radio is, if you can open it. So my thing about mediumship, can I go into that a little bit here,
Yep.
with you guys?
Yeah.
We're
So
good.
I know a medium. His name's Bill Rich. He's a local guy to where I live. I've seen him operate a couple of times now in a live audience environment, and I'm very skeptical about mediums until I met Bill, and because I just don't think it's I think a lot of is scam and
It
fake,
is.
and they're very clever at reading people. But Bill did prove to me that he had information fed to him from somewhere else about people in the audience that he didn't know, and I knew he didn't know them because I knew the people, um, and they were so unique that I thought he can't have known that. He just can't have known that. It's too unique. And he did speak to me. He kind of made me stand up in the audience and said, "Oh, you're the guy from SEPI. I'm hoping that you watch this carefully." So he kind of sounded me out a little bit there, in a good way though. But he gave me some lovely advice at the end too, which is really good of him. So I do believe that Bill example, he is getting information from somewhere else, from a different frequency, from a different dimension. Let's say, vibrating differently. However, and this is the bit which is going to upset a lot of mediums. Okay, hopefully not Bill himself, but I don't think the people they're talking to, or the entities that they're talking to, are the malevolent beings they pretend to be. They are given the information, but at a cost. Now, Bill Rich probably won't mind me saying so. He's not been very. He's suffered from cancer fairly recently. He's getting over it. he's had a terrible time, and I hear this a lot from mediums that they're not well people, or they've been through trauma. Their lives are not great. So when they go and stand up in a spiritualist church and do their thing, they're in their element. They're happy. They're in the moment. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're happy because the entity that is attached to that person is giving them the information and is allowing that to happen. Outside the hall, behind closed doors, that person's not a happy person. They're probably suffering from some sort of illness, depression. They're probably quite recluse from people. They don't want to be near people. Um, people may describe them as being a bit odd or a bit socially awkward. Those mediums, I believe, are being fed information from what I call extra-dimensional entities. And other people may call them demons, but I don't like to give them the word demon because you're empowering a fear in them already. So we're taking it off the cards. No longer call them demons. They're EDEs. We're going to give them a very clinical name because EDE doesn't sound scary, does it? That's my point. They're extra-dimensional entities. They are a life form, and they feed on our negativity, our depression, our illnesses. As long as you're kept negative and in that perplexed state, they feed and they're happy. And they may have multiple victims, or they may just choose you, but they choose you and they come to you in moments of trauma or depression. They will come to you. When people are seeking enlightenment, they will come to you and they will be Jesus. They will be God. They will be Earthling, the social alien from planet X. They'll be anything you want that thing to be because they are master manipulators, deceivers. They are clever, and they will play you like a fiddle to get what they want. And if it means giving you as a medium information on people sat in front of you, they will help you with that, and you will feel gifted, and you will feel fantastic in the moment you're doing your thing. But when you go home, you will not feel so great. So I believe that there's two different types of mediums out there. There are the ones that are channeling well-intended spirits, and they do exist. But I think a vast majority are actually have these EDEs that they're attached to, and they don't even realise it. And I really feel for them. I always ask every medium I meet, how are you? What goes on in your life? I try and get to a life story a little bit. I also ask the life story of people that I arrest, by the way, because I want to understand their backgrounds. Why, why, what's made them come to the day where they stand in front of me in handcuffs? What's led them to that moment? Is it a childhood trauma? Was it what started when their mum died and they got traumatized? It could be anything. You know
Yeah.
what I hear all the
It could be a
time?
generational curse. It could be.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
I've heard of those. And I hear the same story all the time. There's been abuse, there's been trauma, and I hear the same story from mediums. Now, I do not believe in coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidence. There's alignments, and there's things that we call coincidences that just don't happen. It's not a coincidence that some of these mediums have these wonderful gifts, and I'm not putting them down because they are giving you they are giving you real information. So treasure that because they're giving you information at a cost of their own health, at their own suffering. So every medium that there's working in mediumship, hats off to you. You are really giving a lot of your life away. But I'm pleading with them to say, is it worth the price? Is your
Do
gift
you
worth it?
equate it to being like a deal with they would say a deal with the devil, or they sold their soul to get this
So
information to give it to you?
exactly. So I can answer that in another way too, in a more media space. The other people that also do that are pop stars. rock stars, movie stars. The word stars means illumination. They're just working for the illuminations, aren't they?
He
And
also did
we all
make a
know
deal.
where we all know where the illumination goes, don't we? Where that comes from.
Right.
They, so there are very talented actors and musicians to this very day that have got their abilities and their luck. Again, remember what I said about coincidences. They've got that because the entities are, I'll give you this, you give me you. And they do that deal with the devil, they call it. They do that deal with the devil. And then they can say, well, I never signed a contract. Did they
You
not?
did with your
Did they not?
mind. You did with
Did they
what you
not say?
wanted to do.
Did they not cry in the corner one day saying, "I just want to be this. I want to be famous. I want." Did they not do that? I think they did. Hand on heart, but every single one of them did. They wanted it so badly. They said to themselves, For that, I will sell my soul. I don't care. I'll do something."
Yeah,
They
like people say all the time, what I wouldn't give for,
exactly. You got to
and
be
it doesn't
careful what
matter
you
if it's
say.
what I wouldn't give to talk to my mother again. It's what I
Yeah,
wouldn't give, period. The blank space doesn't
yeah.
The
matter what
blank
it
space
is.
is the contract.
And I can guarantee you, every movie star, and rock star, and pop star that you see on our screens and hear on our radios, most of those are paid a price. And they're not happy people. They're not really happy people. They've got all the
When they're
millions of dollars in the
dying.
world. I mean,
They're
look at poor
prosy.
Robin Williams. Robin Williams, a wonderful actor. He moves you just by appearing on the screen, didn't he? A fantastic actor. But look at his end. And I so wish sometimes that I could have met him with this hypothesis that I have, and said to him, Robin, you can be released from this still. It's not too late. And in fact, it isn't. So if there are any rock stars or pop stars watching, it isn't too late. You can get your free will back, because nothing, absolutely nothing, can take your free will away from you. Nothing. It's the strongest thing that we have as human beings. We're spiritual beings, in fact. It's not even about being human, about being a spiritual entity yourselves. You all are. We've all heard that. We're all gods. We literally all are gods. We're all these powerful entities that we've found ourselves here somehow. And that's a story for another time completely. But we are. So it isn't too late. However, there will be a cost to that. And that cost may be that for everything you gained while under the ownership of an EDE, you may have to lose. It doesn't mean you have to lose all your money, but it may mean that you have to stop what you're doing, and address it and go, right, actually, I don't consent anymore. I'm not having this anymore. And strangely, that person will stop getting recording contracts. Strangely, that person will stop probably appearing on TV appearances or being offered film parts. But they've made their money. They should be happy to try and spend it wisely, I'd say, because they probably won't make much more afterwards. But they'll get their health back. They'll get their minds back. They'll get their energies back. They'll get their life back. And I think that's worth it. That's really worth it. So
I have a friend
yeah,
that's his story, that he really said, if I don't get this contract, or if I get this contract for this show, I won't be going back to my family. But he said to himself, basically, if God wants me to go to my family, he will tell me which way I need to go.
yeah.
He's with his family, has been ever since. He never got that part on that
They wouldn't even
TV
take his
show.
call.
They wouldn't even take his call. And he is now a rabbi and has changed his life. I mean, pretty much he made a deal with the devil for everything that he had. Remember the show Miami Vice? He was on that show.
Is he?
That was one of them. He was bodyguard to a lot of these stars.
Yeah.
And he really, that's the life that he thought he wanted, but he was losing his family and realized he didn't know what he wanted, and he just prayed on it, and eventually he got what he needed from God and everything. And I mean, I'm really happy.
Real tree.
You know, I was so ecstatic to meet this guy because when I met him, he wasn't at all like the guy I thought he would have been based on the stories that I was told.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is I have two friends like that, which is even weirder that I have two. But it's like me telling people I know 5 people who have been hit by trains and survived, and I do.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what
the
are the
thing is,
odds?
I mean, I've kind of made that sound like it's EDAs only attach themselves to pop stars, but it's not. It's anybody. Anybody that's suffering through abuse, the traumatic experiences will attract these things. This is why we have such a problem with suicide rates in the UK specifically. It's quite high, especially in the male population. We have schizophrenia. We have people hearing voices. I no longer accept from the medical industry that somebody's hallucinating and just hearing voices. To me, that's a cop out. Do your jobs, guys. Do it properly. These guys are hearing voices. They are not their own. They are literally hearing voices from another source. They are now tuned and they are hearing EDEs talking to them and asking them to do horrible things, degrading things. These EDEs will tell them that they're worthless, they're useless, they should lose their friends, they should lose their family, they should lock themselves in a home and feed themselves all day long, become obese and unhappy. They will make that person the most miserable object they can make that person. And that is happening far too often in this world. And without trying to sound like a I don't know some sort of kind of saying, I'm trying to say is that this world should be better. We should be happier as a species. We've come here to experience what it is to be a human being. We should be a whole lot happier. We shouldn't be relying on government help and handouts. We should be able to build. We should be able to build things in our own minds. We should be. We should be more powerful than we are, having a wonderful time interacting with each other with all our differences and not seeing differences and treating them as a fear factor. We shouldn't be living that way. But these things are keeping us in that headspace. And these things probably run people of power too. So not just the pop stars or rock stars, they're probably running politicians, presidents, prime ministers, all sorts. They're probably in their head. I will make you the prime minister of the UK, but and they go, oh yeah, I'll go and do that. Of course, like our lovely Boris Johnson did that, and look where he is now, trying to keep under the radar, silly boy. And I don't think, and that starts at university for them. They all get involved in Illuminati stuff and silly university rituals. Boris Johnson, I'll use as an example. There's pictures of him holding a ram's skull when he was back at university in Oxford University and all those highbrow places. They all do it, and they all do it not for a joke and for a laugh, as they probably go into it thinking it's a laugh, but it's too late. They've already given over
It's
their
ritual,
souls, as it
period.
were, or their permission. Is the real way to put it. Not to give your soul. You're giving consent at that point. You're allowing that entity. So, and they will have the full-on belief, the misled belief that they are going to be the prime minister one day, or the president of the United States. They are, and guess what? They do, but not because of their own efforts or their own abilities. And again, I'm going to quote Boris Johnson. He had no ability as a human being. Sorry, Boris, but you just do not. He had no ability, but he had enough ability and placement and being in the right place at
Got
the
more
right
than
time,
Biden.
and all the things moved around, and there he was. That's how EDAs work, my friends around the world that are listening. That's how they work.
Yeah, you've
So
seen a few, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we've
and
witnessed
they're
a
all
few in
over
our
it.
lifetime.
I'd bet bottom dollar that everybody that's listened to this knows of a person that fits that description fits. You
Oh yeah.
know, they will know that person. I know a guy. He's eating himself to death at the moment. He's hugely morbidly obese, but he's an absolute genius. He's a genius. He's bordering on the line of mad, but he's a genius. And his ability has come from somewhere. And I don't want to say to him, you know what, you could have an ADE. How about we get rid of it? Because he'll probably go, oh, I don't want to be stupid and lose all his intelligence. He won't lose his intelligence. He won't lose anything he's learned. But because he's now at a phase in his life, he's not open. He's been closed off. And that's how ADEs work. They will prey on
Isolate.
religious people. So if you're highly religious, they will prey on you, especially if you're going through a traumatic time, because they will present themselves as your God or your saint or your Jesus Christ figure, and they will know that you won't question that. So you're easy pickings. They'll also prey on you if you don't believe in anything, because you'll have more problems telling people that you think it's something weird, because no one will believe you. So
Right.
they want you to look mad. They want you to sound a bit odd. They don't want anyone to believe a word you say. And the way to fight them back is not through exorcism, I must add. Okay, Catholic Church have done a lot of work in this area. They've probably got lots of files that I'd love to get my hands on. But I would bet if the Vatican gave me their files tomorrow about exorcism, I'd find records of people going through trauma before it all started,
Right.
going through trauma through the exorcism, it going quiet, and then something bad happening to him later on. Because you know what? Exorcism doesn't do it. It doesn't get rid of it. It just makes it go, I'll come back for you later. But I will
That's why
come back.
people get repossessed.
Exactly. And that is why I wrote notes down about the devil on trial. I watched that. And, I know about Ed and Lorraine Warren, how they interfered with that investigation, with the help, trying to help David Glatzel, I think was possessed back in 1980. So tried to help him. I'm sure their intentions were pure to begin with.
Well,
They
I'll
they
tell you
both
from
come
the
from a
family
Catholic background.
standpoint, Deb said they don't know what they would have done without Ed and Lorraine. They
Yeah.
never ever questioned that there was any other way to deal with David except for what Ed and Lorraine did.
This it
And
wasn't the time, yeah. And
yeah, I mean, it was the
and I'm not,
70s. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
what did we
exactly.
know?
Yeah. So, and there wasn't. So you can't blame any of them for going down that road.
No,
But
I mean,
what I'm trying to
would
say
they?
is now, what,
What
so
would they do now,
way
though?
to defeat these EDEs, or to at least get rid of them, because I don't actually think you can kill them off, because I don't know enough about them yet to know if they have an end. We, as we know, have an end. We have an expiry date on this vessel we call a body. We don't have an end on a spirit, just like them. So I don't think you can kill them, but I think you can get rid of them. You can get them off of your space. And the way you do that is by completely denying them what they're after. And that is the depression, the unhappiness, the unhealthiness, by literally changing your life around. You have to stand and go, I know what you are now. I'm not listening to any of your voices anymore. I'm not going to do what you asked me to do. I'm not going to lock myself in a room anymore. I am going to be more social. I'm going to get my hair cut. I'm going to start losing weight. I'm going to ditch that family member that keeps causing me so much problems, or those friends that make me take drugs a lot or make me drink too much. It's got to be a complete lifestyle change, and and that starts by denying and taking away consent. You literally say, you no longer have consent of my life. I have got my own free will. You cannot beat my free will, and
Take control.
that's where life starts. Yeah, you and with that the healing starts. And that may mean that it gets a little bit worse to begin with, because they will fight back. They will do their best. And we're not going to go, oh, sorry about that, Dave. We'll go then. Cheers, bye. They won't do that. They will go, oh, you're listening to rubbish. This person's is untrue. Look what I give you. It'd be all about trying to protect themselves, and that's how you know you've got an EDE problem, because they will do that. They'll do anything in their power to deceive you. And by the way, they're masters of mimic as well. They can actually sound like somebody it's passed, like your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, uncle, whatever it be. They can mimic voices. But the way you know the difference is that you look at yourself and go, am I happy listening to uncle? Am I happy about this? Am I well? He doesn't talk like he used to talk. He sounds like him, but he doesn't say the same things he used to. And how does he know about memories? Well, they do, unfortunately, because they're looking in your head. So they can dig into your brain and go, oh, I'll tell them about that time they fell off their bike when they were 8 years old. And they're going to believe me. Oh, yeah, uncle. Oh, yeah. Do you remember you fell off your bike? Oh, yeah. That's not enough. That's not enough. Don't
Yeah,
believe them.
question everything.
Yeah,
So
everybody's fell off
It's
their
how
bike.
they talk. It's what you should be looking at. How they are talking, the words they choose, and how you are as a person. How do you feel? So if you're a medium, if we go back to the mediumship again, channeling all this wonderful stuff to people you don't even know, you are giving away your energy and your life force almost to people you don't know at a price. And you've really got to suck that back in, and go, well, does that mean I'm going to lose my mediumship? You know what? It may mean that. It may mean that the help stops, but the help's not come from a good place in the first place. But there are mediums that have happy lives, are very positive people, and you know the difference because when you're in their space, they're quite positive. Well, that's actually wrong. So I'm going to retract that a little bit. Most mediums, you feel positive energy around, to be honest, because there's a different energy to your own. So you would feel that. So, but their lives would be very different. That they've got more hopeful spirit, as I'd say.
yeah,
And
what
one
I've
day,
seen is that
separately,
they're more born with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
They're
yeah.
starting to show it at a very early age, where these other people,
Yeah.
it's like they made a deal to get it
Right.
when they were
Yeah,
older.
it came later. And telltale sign would be to look for what trauma did they have in their life, and did the gift come after the trauma? If it came after the trauma, you've got to wave that red flag very very widely. Okay, that's what I'd be looking at. So, um, you know, again, as SEPI Agency's policy is be transparent, and I'd welcome any medium to approach me and say, "Well, I've got a gift, and I'm not, I don't believe you. I think it's from a good place. Come speak to me. Let's talk it through. Let's see if we can find the evidence for it. And I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think I am wrong on this. I think these things have been around a long, long time, way before we came here as a life form. Or, whatever. And again, it's another video, but the way we were seeded or made or introduced to the planet, I think that we came a lot after these things were here. In fact, you can almost say that we're the invaders. Maybe that's why they feed on us. Who knows? Until we get to speak to one face to face, we're not going to get those questions answered. And
Right.
can we talk to them? Yes, we can talk to them, but it has to be through a person. So at the moment, I'm on the hunt, which sounds a bit wrong, but I'm trying to find a person that is willing to speak to me, that is hearing voices quite regularly and is experiencing the issues I've said. Because we need to talk to the EDE through that person before we get rid of the EDE. But the EDEs are probably not going to be very willing to speak. And plus, they give all fake names anyway. They'll say they're Lucifer or Baal or some ludicrous, scary name. And I've got a book indoors in demonology. I've read the whole thing. To me, it's a book of stories. It's just another book of stories. And I'm not saying the demonologists that put that together weren't doing a good job, but they were collecting the names and profiles of what the EDE were just feeding at the time. That's all they've done. Even Jesus Christ is in that book of demonology as a demon, which surprised me, but it's written down as a demon, which I was a bit shocked about. But
Well, you
yeah,
you look at that though, and it's all opinion.
yeah,
It's not
it is.
factual.
No,
Yeah, and
it's
that's what
all
I
opinion.
say. Take it, whatever I say this evening, just take it away with you. You can throw it in the trash, or you can take it on board. But the one thing I've learned recently is heart and mind speak to each other, and the truth is in your heart. If you feel something to be truthful, you're going to feel it in your heart, and that's how I spot. I'm going to say one swear word in this whole thing, all right? So forgive me. That's how I spot bullshit, because the bullshit goes to my brain and I see it, but the truth goes to my heart and I feel it, and that's the difference. So
Yeah, I
whatever I'm
tell
saying to
people
you right now,
something similar.
yeah, because it's real. You say that, Denise, because it's real. And I know everything I say, you're going to now divide into either your brain or into your heart. I don't mind which way you divide it, but I,
No,
I come from a place
actually,
where I want to protect people.
one of the things that I tell people all the time, and I know it doesn't sound exactly like what you're talking about, but it is. How does something make you feel? Like if you run into a spirit, you actually see the spirit. How do you feel? Do you feel good? Do you feel scared? Are you ambivalent? How does it make you feel? Because if it makes you feel anything other than joy, then it's probably bad.
Yeah,
You need to turn around and
I
walk
agree with
away.
that. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's just
So
how I talk to people all the time. So it's just the way that it is. And yeah, bullshit does roll downhill, and we know that.
it certainly does,
But
and it gathers pace as well. That's the
yep,
problem. So, can I just quickly talk about the UFO side a little bit as well?
yes,
About
Yeah,
please.
go right ahead.
so I know I'm looking at the time, so I'm trying to squeeze it all in. But so the SEPI Agency are kind of unique because we're not just looking at one subject. We're not MUFON that just look at UFOs only and document all that. Good job, guys, but it's not enough because unfortunately the paranormal world and the supernatural world and the extraterrestrial stuff is all interlinked. We need to be looking at the bigger picture. So we look at all of that. That's why we call this supernatural, extraterrestrial, paranormal investigations agency. We do the whole spectrum because I'm trying to link the stuff together. So we we look at UFO stuff too. I've always been fascinated by the Jerusalem UFO incident that occurred in 2011 in over the Dome of the Rock. I've always been fascinated by it. I've seen it for years, seen the video, that it comes down over the Dome of the Rock, this big golden dome in the city of David. It flashes twice and it goes at a tremendous speed off. I've always thought, wow, that's real. That's incredible footage. Not only because of what is seen, but because of the significance of the site itself. The Knights Templar took residence there in the 11th century. They dug for the Ark of the Covenant, for God's sake. They were, there's a lot of amazing history in that
Yeah.
rock, which is why it's protected now. So what you see, the dome is not actually the dome of the rock. It's a dome covering the actual rock. It's the flagstone underneath, which is the actual real thing. So that always fascinated me because I've got a massive interest in Knights Templar as well and all that good stuff. So in January of this year, I decided that I was going to do a proper full investigation into that. Even though it's 13 years old now, I thought there's got to be something I can do to look into this. And I started that with a heart. My heart was open to it, and I found 7 videos from different angles. So I collected those on the internet. Obviously, I'm not lucky enough to find the originals. It's always best to find and work with the originals if you can for evidence purposes. But I found 7 different videos on YouTube, and then I put those together. That's why I started learning DaVinci Resolve software suite, the video editing suite. So I'm getting pretty handy at that now, and audio analyzing software. I've been pretty good at that too. So I started doing analysis on this, but I don't stop at looking at videos. I look into the people that posted the videos. I do what's known as open source investigation techniques. So it's all open source, which means it's a public available information. I don't use any policing systems to do anything I do. That would be totally unethical of me. I'd lose my warrant card that second I'd do it. So I'd never do that. But open source means it's in the public domain. So I've done open investigations into a few of the characters that are posted the videos. And that's where the crack started, unfortunately. And I'm telling you about this story because I want to give you an idea how diligent that we are, how far we go. To me, a video is just circumstantial. It doesn't mean a thing unless you give me the source code, the actual video with all the metadata attached to it. That's useful. But if you just send me a YouTube clip or something from TikTok, it's pretty useless, to be fair. And but I don't. So I studied the video to begin with, and I found some bombshell evidence that's never been seen before, never been discussed. I've my video. If you watch, it's on our YouTube channel. So you go and look up SEPI Agency on YouTube. The Jerusalem video is on there. That's it. Thank you. And I did find truth in the fact that the videos didn't match. The audio didn't match. I've found it, and if you watch my video properly, I will show you why it doesn't match. I'm never the sort of person to say, "I'm sorry, that's not real," and then walk away. That's not what you do. You say, "I'm sorry, it's not real because," and then you go show them the evidence as to why it's not real. And I wanted this so to be real. Honestly, Denise, Ron, and Cole, in my heart, I was like, I want to prove this to be real. I want to prove the government are behind this and they're covering it up. And this is a wonderful event we should all know about. Unfortunately, I found that the main guy that took the video is in the film industry himself. He's a film producer, he's an actor. The second video was done by his friend. He's also a film producer. He teaches video filming at a university in in Israel. There was another video done by some teenagers, which is a really good video. They are film students taught by the guy that done video 2, who knows the guy from video 1. They're film students, unfortunately. And not only that, amazingly, and I don't know how they did this, but the guy from video 1, who was 10 kilometers away from the guys that videoed in the students, literally opposite sides of the city, he was the driver of their car.
He dropped them
He was in
off,
2 places
and
at
they were
once.
talking on the phone.
He was in 2 places at once. Physically, he was in 2 places at once. He filmed himself. I freeze framed it on my video. You'll see the evidence. I freeze frames it on his face when he's looking around in the car driving. It's the same guy that's 10 kilometers away, apparently at the same time. It's not possible. Not possible.
He must be a
So-
protester.
So
I'm sorry.
I've proven the video didn't match. I've proven the audio didn't match. There's a videos 4 and 5. It's an American tourist group that filmed 2 different videos. So videos 4 and 5. Is it 4? Yeah, it is. And there's a woman from Mississippi saying to herself, "Oh, I won't do the accent. I won't insult you all. I've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like that." She says. Okay, she says that in video 4, and you hear her in video 5 because the people taking the videos are standing near each other, right next to each other, doing the same thing. The videos don't match for a start. One flashes and goes off. The other one didn't bother flashing. It just goes off. So that's an inconsistency straight away. But then the bombshell evidence came when I listened to the voices. I stripped the audio out. I put it into audio software only, and I analysed it. And what I realised is that I heard an American accent say, "Wouldn't it be nice to come back at the night time?" But they were at night time.
Yeah.
It's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So that made my red flag go. And then I realised that the wind and the background noise was too busy it was the sound of lots of people, not just a few people.
They
And
filmed
then
it during the day.
it's filmed during the day. The audio was done during the day. Yes, It's from they're taking the audio from something else and putting it on top of the video. Easily done. And then the lady from Mississippi, who I wish I knew who she was, because she was the one that has cemented it for me. Because when she said, I've seen these in Mississippi before, in video 4, she says it before the UFO departs.
Yeah.
In video 5, she says it after it's already gone. It's already gone, and she says it afterwards. So they didn't
Did
even
you
bother
think that they
matching it
might
up.
have gotten her in there from, because there's a huge community of people in Mississippi, Pascagoula,
Yeah.
that talks about UFOs all the time. It's not that far from here. We just went through Pascagoula a few weeks ago, and that's the only thing I kept telling him. I said, we got to go through there so we can find out why they see so many UFOs. I don't know what the reason is. I have some theories, but I'm not going to get into those because they might be upsetting to other people. But maybe that's where they found her in another video and just edited her in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's exactly what they've done. Well, they have done. I can say 100% that's what they've done because the audio didn't match. How can you say, I've seen them in Mississippi before the UFO goes, but then in the other video, she's saying it after it's already gone? That's not possible. Again, I do call them out on my video. I do say, sorry guys, you got to try better next time. But
Well,
it's
I think we
incredible.
all need to watch it.
Yeah, I hope. And it was meant to be a 15-minute video, but I kept finding more and more inconsistencies in the evidence that I had to make it to. It turned out to be a 49-minute video in the end because I needed to prove my point properly. And you see screenshots of the software I use. DaVinci Resolve is on there, so you see me going frame by frame, and you see exactly how I've arrived at the conclusions I have done. So I put a lot of work into this. It took 9 weeks to make that video, so I could show people properly. This is the lengths we in the SEPI Agency will go to look at stuff like this, even if it's 13 years old. Even if the video is not original, we'll do our best. And I was lucky there that I had 7 videos to go by, because using by logic and triangulation in a way, I've caught them out. So them doing so many videos was their downfall. If they stuck to one, that would have been harder for me to prove. But because they got greedy and stupid, they've done 7 videos. And if one of them's fake, they're all going to be fake, unfortunately. That's just the way it rolls.
Well, I just found out that there's a UFO incident just down the road from here. The Gulf Breeze incident. Found out it was all faked. A friend of mine, she kept saying, I know the guy who was the man in black who investigated it. Well, they may have investigated it, but it was still fake. They found proof of his Dixie plates all glued together in the attic when they moved out. And the wife has stayed quiet since then. They made a bunch of money off of books and crap. And they found out later on that it was all fake.
A lot of money.
And it's like
a lot of money off their books and
$500,000.
videos.
And the thing is, in this subjects that we're all fascinated by, you don't have to fake something to make the money.
Right.
There's plenty of real things out there happening in the world that is interesting enough to make films about or write books about. There really is. And my other theory on my website about TTIs, traumatic time impressions, that's ghostly battles that happen that people see, like at Gettysburg. Gettysburg is famous for ghost soldiers.
Okay, so those are like residual.
Yeah, but
okay.
We've now labelled it as a supernatural event, and we call it a TTI. It's a traumatic time impression. It's not. It is an energy, but it bounces like waves. So that's why people see it sometimes, and other times they don't. But I believe that over time that they fade away. So people may have started seeing these apparitions at one point, and they really did, but it wasn't paranormal. There weren't ghosts because ghosts interact with you. They know you're there. These things don't. These just replay. They just replay. So they don't know you're there. That's how you tell the difference between a spirit's ghost and what's called a TTI event, because it just replays. But people may have seen them, but then they fade off after a while, and you may never see them again because the trauma is left, the energy's changed, the residual energy is departed. It's not possible to bring that residual energy back just because a psychic stands in the field and says so. It's just not. Once it's gone, it's gone. Um, and we're going to dig into that a lot more. We're going to make a video about that and do a lot more investigation. And I need help on that. I need people to let me know about ghosts that they reoccurringly see, the same thing. But the telltale sign it is to look out for how they behave. If you see the apparition, how are they behaving? Do they know you're there? If they don't know you're there, I'm pretty sure it's a TTI. It's a time,
Right.
it's a try to time impression. And it doesn't have to be a battlefield event. Like Edge Hill, 1642 in the UK, is one of the biggest first civil wars that happened here. There's massive apparitions events after that battle. The King Charles I got involved. He had to send officers down to that town to quieten the residents to stop these reports coming. He was so bothered by all these reports in 1642. So these 6 officers came down, and some of them served in that battle, and they had to write back to the king and say, "Sorry, boss, but they're real. We've seen it." And in fact, not only did we witness it, I recognised some of the soldiers involved. I served with them. And this is the first report that ever went back and was filed by the British Records Office of a paranormal event. And I have actually put feelers out today, actually, to National Records, see if I can find that report that was written in 1643 by those officers to King Charles I, because I want to find the dates.
Are they still seeing them today?
I don't know. I don't know that. I want to go and find that out. So I will start. I'll probably assign another SEPI officer to that task, actually, to go and communicate with that town, local town, and see if we still get stories going on. So I don't know, but that happens in Gettysburg Civil War. It's happened here in the UK. It's happened World War One, World War Two. In France, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
But we want to go to people to not be afraid of it anymore. There is an explanation for it. It's a supernatural event, an emphasis on the word natural. It's a natural event, but we're going to put the word super in front of it because to us it's quite unique because we don't understand it quite yet. But it's a supernatural event, so it doesn't take away the prestige of that or the mystery. We all love that. We all love supernatural. So it is a supernatural event, but it is a natural event. And that's what SEPI Agency want to push that forward and get the proof of it. Because my golden nugget there, the thing that I'd love the ability to do is to go, I want to initiate a TTI. I want to actually start, can we recreate the atmosphere or the vibration? Can we do that? Can we actually bring those waves back again so they hit and they replay in front of us? Can you imagine if we were able to do that? How amazing that
There's
would
a
be.
lot of theories on that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but our time is just about up. Where can everybody
No
find you,
problem.
David?
I told you I can talk. I haven't bored you all to death, but thank you for
No,
No,
inviting
we've
me
had a
onto the
great
show.
time. In fact,
We've had a
I'd love
great
to do this
time.
for 2 more hours, but we can't, and you got to get some sleep because
Yeah.
it's very late there. So how can
All in the
people
morning.
find the SEPI agency?
So yeah, we're sepi-agency.com. You can find us through the website. I put links onto our YouTube videos there, so you can get onto YouTube and subscribe to us. We're very young, let's say, so we're still building that. Please be friendly with the comments because I'm still learning the video editing myself, so I know I make some mistakes, but I'm doing my best. But yeah, find us that way. We're on Facebook as well, so SEPI Agency's on Facebook too. So come and join our page. It's a private page, but send the requests and I'll happily accept them.
Okay. Well, everybody join me next Monday night at 7 p.m. for the Paranormal Pride. My guest is going to be Shay Moyers from Kansas City. She's going to come on and talk about what's going on with her medium and psychic stuff that's going on there. And join us next Tuesday night with me, Carl, and Ron when we figure out who we're going to have on. I
We'll
think I
have
already have
somebody.
somebody. I always come up with somebody great, just like
I
David.
know you do. And we always want to thank Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment's Facebook for allowing us to be live there. Things Network Facebook and Japan Paranormal Facebook, where we're live in Japan. So we want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank David, especially for joining us tonight. It was great information. Love hearing from you. Anytime you want to come back, just send us a notice and we'll get you back on. But everybody in the chat room, we didn't say a lot of people in here, but I want to thank Elizabeth Knight, Crystal Marie, Terry Kosser, John Long, Pastor Gary, Facebook user. I don't know who you were, but you had some good comments in there. And Lauren Pilati, I think's how we pronounce that. I may be wrong. Of course, Susan and Mike Roberts for joining us tonight. But you will see us here next Tuesday night on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week.